afternoon. How are you today? I'm doing things. I am doing things. This Saturday, I was at an event where I just basically showed off some of my paintings, and I realized this is kind of a lot of paintings to throw on a table. Um, it went fine, but the kids all hung out at my table, and it was kind of awesome. I had a small struggle. Uh, Along with the let's stick ECI teeth here, all better. Had a small struggle. I did not bring my microphone. So when I'm teaching in the classroom, I wear an N95 mask, and then I have a microphone that goes on top of that mask, and then I put a fabric mask on top of it because the mask can't pick up my talking all that well outside of the mask. And I wear a little speaker like on my waist or right here, and it just kind of like communicates and it gets louder so people can hear me and I don't have to scream. I did not think this event was going to require that. I didn't think it would be quite that big, but it turns out there were plenty of attendees. And I was next to a table of mechanics, which was really cool because they were showing the kids like how to use power tools, but that meant power tools were on a lot. And so I was yelling pretty considerably this weekend. So my voice is a little raw still. Let that be a lesson to me that I should probably always have that, you know, that thing, that microphone on me. And right the week before, I'd actually bought a second one to leave at the school that I frequently teach at, and then during the day, and then one to carry with me when I'm teaching at all the other schools. So one stays at home and one stays at one of my places of work. So it was really, really foolish that I didn't have a microphone. I lived, okay? Like, let's be honest. I did live. Look, I just found this little star on my desk, and it's adorable. And I felt like it needed to be shared with you. Here, we're going to put it. Look, adorableness. Let's stay. Here, well, add a little moisture. Don't do this to other people, folks. There we go. Now I have a little star. Um, yeah, so I did that. The kids, I should have brought more for the kids to like do hands on with because they were most interested in that. And I should have assumed that, but I didn't get paid to do this event, so I didn't like have a budget for that stuff. But it's amazing what you can do with just pencil and a paper that was nearby, thanks to the quick thinking of Yasmin. So we were fine, better than fine even. It was a delight, and the kids were definitely my table a lot. I also got to bring in some like an old friend of mine from the pharmaceutical world, a Dr. Guy Fish, who does work, and he was very encouraging of me to me when I first started unchartered tutoring, and that, or not even, it was like years before I even started unchartered tutoring, but he was very encouraging, and he was there to kind of like show kids that you can be a medical doctor and a CEO. So this was a great event targeted at BIPOC youth to ensure that they know they can be something amazing. But they don't always know that because their networks, their resources aren't going, hey, you could be a lawyer, hey, you could be a CEO, hey, you could be a medical doctor. So yeah, it was a great event. It was very, very, very good. Um, Good stuff. What else am I like really getting into right now as I like warm up to doing my art? Um, hmm. Oh, I found so just moving things around the studio. I found this set of brushes I bought a while ago and forgotten about. You remember I frequently talk about these brushes, right? These Magnum Opus that I got on a Kickstarter, and I love how tiny they are, and they are amazing. And they came with a little soap here. These brushes are fantastic. Well, I came across these, which are very very similar, but they're long line brushes, which means they hold a little more ink and they may wobble less with my hand when I start to shake. So I might play with these today because I do love a good long line brush. Here we go. We'll make it into a little stand. We'll fold a little thing, and then it's going to hold up here like this. Voila! Don't forget to use us. But take a look at they're glued on. I'm going to peel one off. But take a look at this tip. Look at how tiny that is. It's really, really fantastic. Just how small that is and how much longer it is. Like if I take a look at, let's take a look at a comparable size brush. So this is the 20 out of zero. I don't know, the base on these bad boys is comparable, but see how much longer it is? That means it's going to hold more paint, more ink, more dye, and that's going to be awesome. Um, I also find it not suspicious, but likely that they're the same manufacturer based on the crimping style and the size of these things. It's just a small notice. And anyways, they're very, very similar. They're not quite. They may be a knockoff trying to be the Artis Opus um, brushes. I'm not sure, but I am super duper excited for these things because I think good things are going to happen with this longer brush. Can you see it? If I hold it in front of my lips, can you see it here? Let's hold it in front of something dark. There you go. You can see the difference. It's almost double the length. So I'm curious as to whether it will actually hold that much more paint. Um, we'll find out. I am confident of it. Um, and then, well, let's take a look at this. So here's another. So these both have the same numbers on them. One is a script and one is a liner. So one's meant for making letters, the other's for making lines, but they appear to have the same numbering structure. I don't know. I haven't played with them yet. Obviously, they're still in their packaging. So maybe I'll do that live with you all today. You know, setting these up just so they look so pretty. Put the cover back on this one. But I do love a good long line brush. It's just the way it is. So I'm getting excited about trying these for the first time with you all today. Yeah. Alternatively, I know I said I was planning on watercolor, and I am planning on watercoloring. Alternatively, I do have the sewing machines out, and I have a couple shirts that need tailoring. I can show you that. If you'd rather that, I can do that. But I'm feeling the watercolor today, so that's where I'm gonna go, because I want to paint, and who doesn't love painting? I also wanted to point out early on that if you love what I do but hate that you miss it sometimes, I do, in fact, take my recordings and put them on YouTube. So if you get bored, like maybe you just got a COVID diagnosis and you need to like quarantine for the recommended amount by your authorities, do take a look at that link that I just put right here, right? Um, Take a look at that because maybe you need to watch me talk at you for longer than you ever thought you needed, and I'm here for you if that's what you need. um, just little thoughts, little things to help. I am wearing a brand new t-shirt I'm very excited about. So I've been just picking up, I'm late to the podcast game. I've been listening to books mostly, and so with the whole podcast game, um, I have, of course, picked up Ologies with Ali Ward, and she likes to talk to a different scientist or ologist every day. And so I bought the gem shirt, the all over print gem shirt, because who doesn't love gems and gemology and sparkly things? And I'm pairing them with these drippy gold earrings that my partner got me for Valentine's Day. Thanks, Lady Verona. I'm glad you love my shirt. I got the shark one. I got the shark one for Dave for Valentine's Day. Um, so, just saying, like, if that's something you're loving, it's here as I open up my paint so you can see my paint palette. Because painting is where we are at. I did offer to sew, but no one jumped on that offer. So I am planning on painting today. Let's get our cameras a little more situated. And I'm going to pull out the squirt bottle to really like evenly coat this stuff. Why did my music stop? Therein is a question. It's probably just one of those songs that goes forever, silently. I should take this song out. Here we go. Better song. Yeah. So squirt bottle of water. I'm going to dampen all of my watercolors all at once. Rather than using a brush, I'm going to dampen them all with a little fine spray of water. This is also how you clean your palette, should that become of interest to you. Just a little bit of water all over. It will really help us. And just start to soak in as I set up. Here we go. Yeah. Let that set in. I'm going to turn up this music because it's wonderfully creepy, and who doesn't love a good creeper? So I'm drying this off. Here we go. I do still have my gouache out from last week. Here it is. This is the titanium white. It's way whiter than some of the other stuff that I pulled out, if you recall from last week. It is posted to YouTube. Any other questions? I don't know. I'm excited about the thing that I did Saturday, so I'm hoping things like come of that, if that makes sense. Um, Real quick, I'm gonna show you some of the things that made me like excited. On my little escapades out in Colorado. So these are just some of my experiences that I had, or that other people captured of me, and just how delightful they were. And so you can just get some of these magical moments. Here I am on a chairlift. Yes, you needed to see that. Because I'm adorable. Here is that really special moment that well, let's pull out last week's painting, right? Let's pull out last week's painting. It's in here because we started like I just pulled them out and shared them with people at this event, and they just loved pulling through them and the kind of tactile discovery. Um, Here we are. Here it is. Here it is because it's still bound because I wasn't 100% sure I was done with it. No, this one. Which one's okay? Yeah, this is the one. So this is the one I'm starting here. Let's take a few peeks. I took at least two pictures of the view, and then someone else took the same view, or the view of the same phenomenon that I did. So this is what I painted last week, and then this is what I'm going to paint this week. So let's switch back so you can kind of see all that. And I'm going to move my screen around just a smidge so that I can do everything at the same time. Here we are. Okay, so now I have my reference material in front of me. I usually, when I do these, I'm usually literally like at the mountain, in the place, doing the thing that you see me painting. But the coldness of not going inside to paint made that a challenge for these particular paintings. If you follow me on Instagram or Facebook, you can see me post some of those challenges. Let's get a good shot of my palette going because who doesn't want to see colors being mixed? Yeah, buddy. Um, and let's open up my paintbrushes. If you recall, they're in this little carrier. These are the ones that I travel with. Those ones in the case that I showed you, those long line brushes, are not part of my set, but maybe they will become part of my set. And here we are. Here are the paintbrushes. Yes, everything you possibly wanted in a carrying set of watercolors. I made it. Jumping frogs, pink fabric, a little gingham. You couldn't ask for anything more. So I'm actually going to move aside the Artist Opus, and I'm going to put my regular brushes right here. Let's see if I can get them on view for you. I'm going to move this aside, scooch you in a smidge, bring you here. I just want you to be able to see everything I'm working with whenever possible. Cool. I feel like is this a good setup for y'all? Can you see what I'm doing? Maybe enough. Drink water. Always drink water. That's the answer. My head hurts a little bit today. It thawed quite a bit today. It's like 60 something degrees. I went for a walk and it was lovely. But I feel like my sinuses are like, wait, what's going on? So here we are. All right. We have our base colors painted quite nicely. And I am reorienting myself because this view suddenly doesn't look quite right to me. I feel like I did a better job of the fade of the clouds here than I did in other scenarios, or in the other scenarios. Like I made a million of these things. It's not quite. I don't know. It's just not as I didn't do this part particularly well, and so I want to do this part better. Um, Here's my attempt at that. Uh, well, colors, we got to think about our colors. What is the essence of this painting? And is this the view you want, or is this the view you want? I feel like this is the view you want. I don't know why. You tell me, okay? All right. So, how detailed do we get? How detailed do we not get? Um, I think I'm going to jump in with this kind of long line brush that I've used in the past, the Royal Langen Nickel. This is a number 2. It holds enough ink, and I think I'm going to be going in with some shadows here. So let's grab some of the pre-made kind of snowy colors that I have. I think this is one of them. It's a little bit of a gray, but we are on a gray day, so I'm not going to knock that all that much. But each of the little hills that I kind of have here um, should have some degree of, shading in them. And remember, with watercolor, it can be more difficult sometimes to lay down color accurately because that paper you're painting on is getting wet, and so it's getting darker. Um, don't be discouraged by that. I would also add, you can still do it. Like, you're gonna be fine. It's just you just need to remember that, and so go gently, and hope that you'll get the opportunity to jump back in, and add more later, right, at a later time. So here I am just starting to shade the hill that I am painting on, or the individual slope. I believe this is Buddy's Rum. I probably should have checked that, like, for reals. But here we are. I'm just starting to shade some of this up in here. Now, this is one of the whiter points in my painting, but it's not pure white, so I am gonna cut in with some more shadowy type situations here, and hope it makes sense to people. Here we are. Nice. Okay. Just some mild changes. I feel like the sky is in a really good place. It's really, really flat looking. It's a mistiness that's hard to really replicate and define. I think the hardest part on this painting is probably going to be the snow that's captured on the evergreens that are here, the pine trees. Um, yeah, that's what I feel at the moment. So let's switch to the long lines. I guess that's it. I'm ready to switch on to maybe this. We're gonna try the 10 out of 0 silver ultra mini script. I like the longer bristles. The longer bristles mean I hold more paint. Um, it's not particularly green. It's definitely on the browner side of things, but not dark. So here we have some of that brown color. I don't know if you can see. Well, on my palette, you can't really. Let me see what I'm kind of mixing into here. So this is some of that brown. It's a pretty gray brown because it's not particularly warm. Um, so I'm going to just start doing some upward strokes to kind of signify some of the shadow that exists from trees. The hard part is doing it irregularly. If I can look up and catch a pattern, or catch something I'm doing, that can be helpful, but that's not always the case. Like, I'm not paying that accurately. Um, but trying hard not to create a pattern of trunks, because that's not right. That's not what's going on here. Um, cool, there are the trunks. That was quick. Now let's do some more of the slope down here. So there's this double break that I'd like to capture if I can. It's a little fadey right now, a little misty, which is okay uh, because of that snow color I kind of threw down earlier. That's all right. Let that dry before we get into that more. There's some more of this tree texture trunks going on right here. So I'm going to pop in and try to get some of that down on the paper with the acknowledgement that there's like this mistiness to it too. So it's not perfectly well defined. All right, more trunks and branches because it is darker than what's going on everywhere. It's hard. You have to wait for bits to dry before you can always do everything you want. Um, Here I am throwing these colors in. Definitely not white. There's not a lot of captured snow on the tops of these things. It's more of a fadedness caused by, in fact, just the mistiness that I'm so fascinated by here. I'm going to pick out some more of the darker color and see if I can add some detail into the center, just the center of where this cloud is. Because we don't want to over define details. And I don't entirely know what the details all are. And that shouldn't make a difference when one's painting. You just paint what's there, paint the shade that you see, paint what's actually there. But that is so much easier said than done. So much easier said than done. Like, why are these like kind of fuzzy around the edge? These little itty bits. Like, imagine these are trees, and those are just the trees that have escaped the manicured confines that humans have created here. But I really don't know. But it does bring it a lot closer to add those details. Um, and I'm just adding the details. That's all there is to it, right? And it's not everywhere because I want to really represent the fade that I didn't do so well in the other piece. I feel like it's a weaker aspect to the painting. Um, so I'm trying to really concentrate, take my time, do it right. But I don't know. I don't know if it's gonna work. It's practice. It's all practice until you sell it. No, it's even then it's practice. Um, don't let yourself like get convinced you're not good at something because you don't know how to do it. I don't know how to do it either. I really don't. And this is the second part to the third part really to this painting, as I didn't finish this one last week. The details last week took a lot longer than I thought they would, and I didn't really bounce back and forth between the varieties of things in my on my to-do list. I don't want too many details, remember. This is far, far away. So these itty bitty brushes, really, I love the long line brushes. See, with another brush, I'd be having to go back and forth and pick up more and more ink. But since I have the hand control, And if you have the hand control, just try it. Try these super long line brushes, and they'll hold more watercolor for you and make more sense. So you don't lose time going back and forth, right? That may be all the detail that needs, and maybe that's part of the problem. Is the other one I didn't actually put that much more detail. I don't know what is my problem here. It just floats forward too much. This is a cooler color instead of what I used that time, so maybe that'll make a difference. Keep your fingers crossed for me, okay? Are we dry here yet? Yeah, I'm thinking we're dry. So let's go back in with that brown color we were using, and just give some height and trees. I might need a smaller brush. No, we're not dry yet. Okay, cool. Um, ugh, worst. And I'm too regular as well. See that? So it's fading into the mist. That's what we're gonna call it. It's fine because there's this like scraggly brush around the base. I'm totally fine with it. I really am. I'm gonna put this one down, the 10 out of 0, and I'm gonna pick up the 20. Well, this is an extra little LG liner, 7 out of 10. What do I think this one's going to do? Ooh, the case is still on it. There we are. Ooh, that is delightful. Um, it's so tiny. Can you see it? Can you even see it? It's so small. Okay. Um, let's do it. Let's pick some of this up. I don't even know what it's going to do. We're going to find out, okay? Yeah, it's not. It needs a smaller particle size, is my guess. Watercolor is too big. Can I pick up something a little more intense and try dropping it on? Okay, so this is really tiny. Can you even see it? Okay, too small. Too small. Cool. So this one's really, really tiny. This 710 thing, 70, really long. We're gonna put that down for a minute. I don't need this. This is like it looks like an individual eyelash. Really, it's an eyelash brush. Um, so if I drop my size to a 20 out of 0, what does that do? Yeah, let's see. Um, and let's just kind of shade in between some of these colors. There we are. Okay, so this is more appropriate for what I'm trying to do, which is just add some depth to the trees with some layers and some definition. It doesn't have to be super clear, just working it. Um, Shading, that kind of thing. Remember, it doesn't have to be clear. Now I can kind of see some branching, not a lot, okay, folks? Not a lot of branches going on here. Very nice. And what everyone kept saying, and it's so funny too, because I look at it and think these are really fast and not particularly detailed. But what people were saying at my when I was showing them these is, oh, they're so detailed, and I'm like, ah, I think I question your assessment, but that's okay. Everyone has a different level of detail that they're expecting from an itty bitty painting like this. So we'll have to just take it and accept their admiration um, in that way. Okay, we're getting some depth there. It's a little regular for my taste. Um, Here we are. Pull up a trunk up front so it's not so flat, right? We want to give it some depth. Um, And I'm liking where this is going, even this little bit of darkness here. All right, I'm feeling good there. This might be dry enough to start working, and I'm really loving this brush at the moment. So let's take this brown and do what we had originally kind of set out over in this corner before we realized it was still too wet, and just start giving some trees some of their branches over here. Remember, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is my struggle is really to continue on. Oh, they have the vision. Who has the vision? Tell me all about. They have the vision. Lady Verona. As I add these little branches and try to convince people that this is a real place, I promise. Because it is a real place. But right now it doesn't quite look like the people who see the little details. Ah, yes. Yeah, I mean, there are details, but it's not all that detailed. Like, I feel like it should be 100 times more detailed. But then again, I'm trying to do these in like set amounts of time or with you all, broadcast on Twitch, So it's not exactly always as detailed as I might think I do, but whatever, they can see what they wish for certain. All right, so that feels like trees. Let's continue with this brown and this really lovely brush and add some scrubbiness over here with this tree and the directions that it's going, because I'm really enjoying this brush. I feel like I need to sit down. Okay, hold on. I'm going to get my stool and sit down because I feel like I'm wobbling and then it's not really contributing. um, the things we do. Why did I feel standing was the way to start this? Because that's how I always start, right? Standing. But I'm doing some level of detail here that kind of I could reduce half my movement by sitting. Uh, just saying. All right, more trees. Anyways, is it amusing? Do I amuse you? Are you amused? I think there's a quote there, but I can't remember it. Are you not amused? Maybe it. Nice browns, neutral colors. Because right now I'm really, drawing in on the aspens. I'm really drawing in on the aspens. We'll get to the pine trees in a second, but right now my focus really does seem to be in the aspens. And I am like thinking about these individual tree branches. Oh gosh, look at that detail. I'm already getting more than I got in the other ones. Can you see this? Like the difference? These are already tons smaller, which means it's going to take me 10 times as long. Don't judge. Or do judge, whatever. You're here for whatever entertainment purposes you need. But yeah, the branching is just glorious. Oh, this is so much easier. Okay, why did I lose these brushes? Anyone want to tell me? Well, I can tell you how. It was really more about that they got put in my adult art box, which is a good place for them. So when I'm teaching my adult art class, it's just so that they can cuss and don't have to say anything to the kids. This was like in there, and I guess I forgot about it. And I pulled them up the other day because we wanted to try a different location for our lesson. And yeah, it I found them as I was pulling things out, thinking that my people would maybe like some of my other tools, and what do you know? There we are. And there really are, there's like a bunch of trees right here. There are all these deciduous types at a variety of depths. Nice. Little itty bitty trees with little bitty branches. They're not that itty bitty, but they're far away, so they kind of look it. Let's give those ones in the back. Yeah, they don't have that much depth. Like, I don't want to lie to people. Because they're misty, so like you don't see it. You just don't see it. Um, let's do this because there's just like scrub brush almost kind of coming up here. And I don't remember skiing through that. It's just this like light growth. Maybe it's a bunch of smaller trees that are just happening to begin their lives. I'm really not sure. So they're shorter. When the snow gets real deep, it's just the tops of the trees that stick out. But it is more of a mist at various points. I mean, some of the branches kind of stick out, and that gives us some definition of what's going on here. But it doesn't have to be particularly in great detail. Yeah, kind of like that. See that? Oh, I'm so happy with how that came out. Oh, I feel good. I feel very good about that one. And we kind of have the same thing, though, happening at the bases of these as it thickens, as it moves to the right in the more dense areas. Cool. Cool. I like that. I'm surprising myself. I want more trees kind of hanging out through here. Be straight up and down for the aspens. But I'm not actually like seeing that many. They're there. I can tell because the texture comes out between the pine trees from time to time. So here's like the last kind of on the bigger side one. I can see it and it kind of wobbles. It goes back and forth, but it's getting really tiny now. These things are getting much further and further away, which means I might be moving to that really tiny brush that I'm excited to use. I'm just surprised. And I think it's the appropriate time rather than, or should I wait? Should I wait to use it at the very end, right? This whole general to specific is somewhat important when working. Well, there's one more tree I think I can include parts of over here. It's not a lot, but it's there. And the branching. There we go. Just a hint that there's a tree there. We should start thinking about some of the skier colors. So there's this really great neon pant that I think I'm going to capture. I don't know. Is it too much? I don't know how to make a neon color. You usually have to start with very specific pigments to get a good neon. That's not bad, actually. Can you see me? Can't see me. I'm over here now. Yeah, right here. That's not a bad neon at all. I'm going to make it lighter with a lot more water. It's the joy with watercolor. And I'm going to go in, and it's the 1, 2, third person. That looks like a drop that's going to follow me. There we go. While I work. Here we go. Neon pants. That's all that's needed. Right there. Neon pants. Okay. That's a lot of paint to have mixed for that. And then we're going to pick up this red. And it does have a little bit of a brown in it. So I'm going to pick up just a smidge of brown and mix those together. Oh, that's the red. and give this guy a jacket here. I don't put a lot of people in my paintings, truth be told. So this is a little bit of a new choice. Now this person here is wearing, this is fun to match the blues. No, that's not the right blue. It's a Prussian blue blaze. That's not it. It's decidedly kind of teal. There we are. That's a nice, there we are. I did it. I knew I would. Lots of happy trees, very itty bitty people, and people. Yeah, it's gotta get the colors right here. I'm actually pretty good at people. But here we are. They're tiny. And we don't have to be explicit, I feel like, with these individuals. Because they're just like little hints, little notes on the landscape. Oh, that's right. There's a second neon, which was one of the reasons I was like, I'm going to put the people in this. There's someone in a neon jacket over here. Cool. I like that. And just little bits of black, it feels like, are the rest of them. Though I can probably get away with this individual kind of being a green. So I might do that. Kind of make an homage that it could be John, one of my skiing buddies, who wears like this teal blue jacket. There we are. Okay, these little skiers are kind of making me happy. And they're all wearing helmets. Good. We want helmets. What color are their helmets is the question. Whoop, you're bleeding a little bit, and that's okay. Not bleeding like hurt, just cool. All right, that feels acceptable-ish to me. Let's go in with some of this dark gray to define some of these people's like pants. I don't want like too much definition on these people, because then they'll stand out way too much. This person's like clearly pizza pieing down the mountain, and that makes me laugh. But they're like in all black, so they're kind of boring. There we are. Okay, that skis in the wrong direction. I'm gonna have to fix that. It makes it look like they're like flying through the air and like a freestyle jump. Let's clean that up. There we are. Of course, now it's all bleeding everywhere. Okay, pick that up. Too much. Let's throw some water on it. Ah, not there. Let's see, can I erase this person? Here we go. I've made a mistake, and so I'm going to erase him. I'm just throwing water on it, moving it around, and I'm going to pick it up. Not a bad erase. Okay, I'll accept it. Deal. Okay, I'm taking the message from the universe that maybe I should stop with the skiers for a minute. Although, I really want to give the legs on this one a go. There we are. I feel good about that one. And then this one's like kind of closer to me, so I have a little more detail. Yeah, that's convincing, I think. Yeah. Okay. Let's make our tree color. Let's make like a tree. These are going to be trees without leaves. These are going to be trees with pine needles. I'm going to make a bunch of the color. Not that I'm going to need all that much. But I'm going to start with this green that's over here. Just seems like a good starting place. Now that I'm over here, so this green, looks like there's some white over there. Oh, I see. Never mind. I'm not starting with that because that's where I put down my my gouache last time, and I don't want those to mix. That will really deaden my colors fast. So let's start with this like gray color here. I think I can work that. Let's pick this up. There's that nice rich kind of pine green, but we're gonna deaden it with a little bit of brownish red question mark. Went with a purple, kind of a, I think it's a color that starts with a Q. Okay, that's not what I wanted. Let's grab this red, this kind of more brick red. Yeah, let's throw some of that in. Deadening the green, and that is deadening the green. There we are. That's how you deaden your greens. You mix in a red or a brown. Because in nature, they're not that bright. Okay, this is a good one. That's a good one. So I mixed this green with this red in order to make that. Where am I going to go? I think I'm going to go back to this one, the 10/0. There's so much texture in this. I'm kind of wondering if I should add salt to this color. Not as like something that I dust over top, but as something that I include in a color that I am painting with. I'm leaning towards no. It will add texture. It will just add texture. And there is a lot of texture going on here, but I'm worried that the texture that I add will be then affected, or the salt will then affect the gouache that I maybe need to use later. So I'm gonna steer away from that, and I'm just gonna start adding some little pine trees right here. So looking up from this person, she is right at the edge of the pine trees. So we're gonna go around her helmet and start giving this green a life of its own. And just start throwing it in. Yeah. Yeah. And we need to leave some of the white space because that is the snow. If we don't leave the white space, we have to like go back in and with the gouache, which I'd like to avoid doing. I did use gouache on the last painting, but I don't know that it's like the best thing I've ever done. Now I'm using a very light brush so that I get those white spots. Yes. I'm happy with the tree so far. And this particular tree seems to maybe have beetle kill up along one side of it. The branches kind of discontinue, but they go off on one side. Beetle kill really is sad. The whole entire mountain is changing because of it. Gosh, I like how randomizing this long bristle really becomes. It's doing good stuff. Because I tend to be a little over the top when it comes to detail and control. So if there are tools that are like making that harder for me, that's not necessarily a bad thing. Let's take the pine tree that starts here and do it next. It's a taller, kind of narrower friend of ours. It is taller. And it might be two, actually, one right next to the other. Dotting it in so that I just kind of have this idea of the direction I'm heading. Look at that tree. Oh, it's so happy. And as we keep adding depth, we're going to have to keep doing this, but with more control, because the other trees will be behind these trees and darker, but not necessarily because of the mistiness, right? So there's a small advantage to this mistiness. Yeah, look at that. It bifurcated. So it might have been one of those weevil situations, which is pretty cool. I don't know that it's like, I can't tell, but it doesn't look like it's a double all the way down. So that means it's a weevil. A weevil went and burrowed, used its ovipositor, and put little eggs in. And that's pretty cool. Yeah, look at that. Look at the trees. They're so happy. And they're doing their thing. Don't you love the trees? I like the trees. Now, here is a different tree. So we've got 1, 2, and then this one is kind of coming forward, or it's further back. This is hard. How do I just draw what you see? Draw what you see. Draw what you see, not what you think you see. Okay, I'm gonna start here because I'm getting a little confused by the bottom down there. And so if I can start here, maybe I will not be as confused. Keep your fingers crossed for me. Draw what you see, not what you think you see. It's the mantra I try to teach everyone. So we've got this series of really thin trees right here. And they go back and forth, and they are lovely, but they are much thinner. And they get darker as they get to the bottom, one, because there's less mist separating my eye, the viewer's eye, from the tree itself, right? And then yeah, there's just less mist in the air separating the viewers. That's really what it comes down to. And this is this the exceptionally tall one? I guess it is. Next to it, there's another pretty tall, but not quite as tall one. It gets a little wider though, which is exciting. Why? I don't know. Why is a wider tree exciting? I mean, a narrow one's really exciting if you want to get right into it. The narrow tree is quite exciting. I don't feel like I have a lot of narrow trees in my paintings as of right now. It could change though if I keep painting from these skiing views. I imagine narrow trees might have some kind of advantage on the mountain, but I don't really know. But I am pretty happy with where it's going. All right, I'm going to pick up a really, really dark color and feed that into the center of these and let it blend out to help create depth. But only down at the bottom, because that's where my eye has more definition and the camera has more definition. Ooh, we're getting a visitor. Howdy.
Hi. Hi, how are you?
I'm good. You?
Good. Mom's being picked up from the airport right now.
Exciting.
Avery, are you teaching?
I am. I'm here. I'm muting. Yes, so Lady Verona, you are bringing up an excellent point about painting the big trees up front and then the middle depth trees. So the the reason I did that was really about color mixing. So I mix the color pretty intensely, so I get more contrast closer to me because this is a very misty, foggy scene. So I didn't want to water down the color and then have to wait for it to dry to paint the trees up front. Um, so these colors that I'm using are the same colors, just more watered down, hence watercolor. But um, the the further things get away from me in this, or the viewer in this particular scene, the less intense, the less contrast there is because of the cloud that's hanging over the mountain. Um, and I didn't want to have to wait for it to dry. So in my usual order of operations, modus operandi, I would generally paint light to dark and general to specific. But because I didn't want to have to wait for the paint to dry, I did paint those first. That's a good catch. Different method than I often use. Yeah. Isn't that what we want? Uh, so that the music is playing and the microphone being the only thing muted if I have someone in here who has questions for me? I'm a little confused. There are times when we want that. Like that time, because Yasmin came in for some stuff and I wanted to be sure she could ask me things privately if she needed them. I think it did what I wanted. Because you want to still hear the music, right? I could be wrong, though. I mean, who doesn't want to hear my awesome surf music? All right, now we're going to start getting real dark on some of these trees. Remember, the bases of these trees are definitely going to be darker than the tops, right? It's all about this mistiness that like is creating the mood for this entire painting, and that means that the things closer to the ground are in greater definition. That's just what it is. And that goes throughout the painting, but especially on the things that are closest to me right now. I think this is the spot that is absolutely the closest to me. But one of the things I love about this painting is how the cloud just kind of becomes the mountain. And that's what the photograph does, and that's what the experience was. And just this opening it up into the valley was delectable. Oh, you heard no music. Oh, I wanted to play the music. Um, huh. I'll have to figure that one out. Yes, I did try to play the music. And there are little scrubby things here. Adding further texture. And scrubby things here. All right, let's attempt that that skier again, the one who's very clearly wedging their way down the mountain. Um, we're gonna get that really ridiculously long thin brush. How about that? And it's gonna be, wow, that's so narrow. Oh, it's so tiny. Now what direction? I can't even really ski their skis, and maybe that's what I screwed up in the last bit, right? I tried to draw their skis to indicate directionality, and it was a bit much, huh? And maybe that's all we need, right? Just that little hint of a person. It doesn't have to be a well-defined person at all. Yeah, just like this. Cool. Little backpack. Can't tell what they're doing quite. I think I think there's a pole. I think there's a pole involved, but it's very faint. I can't figure out why their hand doesn't match the pole to my eye, but that's fine. I don't have to. So the person in red really probably has a dark helmet. Let's see if we can bring that back to them. person in blue has a light one here. But their backpack is not light. There we go. But I left it that way so that I could have it there. Actually, I'm really liking where this is going. Drink more water. I'm trying to drink water. My sinuses are not thrilled. It's a mess. All right, now for this itty bitty brush, going into these colors of this brownness of these branches and seeing how tiny I can really make. Wow. There just may not be enough moisture even, but making some of these branches so tiny. I'm probably being excessive here. I'm kind of feeling like it's done. But that doesn't feel right to me yet. Let's switch. I don't know. Is it done yet? It certainly achieved all the things I wanted it to. I'm wondering if I need to go back. I don't know. I think it's done. Can't believe I'm saying that, but I think it is. What else does it need? So there's the opportunity to add the white from on the branches. Certainly. You know what, let's push some of these darks a little further. Some of these darks at the bases of the trees could maybe help define this space a little more. But only the closest bits, right? We talked about that. They gotta fade as they move away from me. Does that make me feel more? I don't know. Give these aspens just a little more depth. Oop, that was too much depth. Not bad. Good recovery. Well, all of this is kind of coming in a little hot here in terms of the darkness. And that's pulling it forward way too much, so we're going to dab that up. There we go. Better. Oh gosh, I just really do kind of feel done. I don't know how I feel about that. I wasn't prepared. I didn't know I was so close to being done. I really didn't. I just don't feel like the valley is really floating in the sky. I guess it's a hard thing to like really communicate. Now, do I go back in and add some white because I did on this one? I feel like the valley is done better in this one. The trees are more detailed in this one. And even that's not quite accurate. There's just white on top of it. Maybe that's what it is. Okay, let's. There's a little bit of gouache left here. I'm re-wetting it. I'm gonna see if I can. I'll add a little more gouache. Where'd my gouache go? You guys saw it. I had it earlier. There it is. Maybe just some of these trees need to be highlighted a smidge. Just the smallest bit, huh? See how little I put down? It really is an insubstantial amount. But so what would I pull out is mostly these trees right here. There is a smidge of gouache in this. I've committed now. It's just that they get so light, the trees themselves, and maybe that's helping. Not 100% convinced. I'm not convinced. Here we go. Add some white to these trees that are really like holding on to the snow here, just to create more of that depth. And this white does end up being whiter than my paper, so like it gives it some degree of depth additional to just leaving the paper white. Doesn't need to be a lot. They're just sitting on the branches a little bit. It's not like it's a lot, but there's snow on the branches, and I'm not sure that was coming across before I started adding here. Of course, the wind has a tendency to knock the snow off of the taller part, so you don't always have snow up higher. But down below, and plus, would we be able to even see it? Therein lies part of the question, right? Because the mistiness really alters what it is you can see. So just throwing in more down here. But those unsheltered trees, those tall trees, they're not going to have anything on them like that. Sometimes with gouache, you got to go back in a second time to get it really light. Kind of give it a second layer. Actually, gouache traditional painting has a lot of layering going on. So, you know. Is it more done now? Now, do I go into the clouds like I did with this one? From your eye on the camera, does one appear to be more floaty? This one's doing better, the mistiness. Like there's just a harder line here. Maybe it's something I gotta sit on. Maybe I need to sit on it in a minute. Sometimes that happens with painting. That's why I haven't pulled this one off because I wasn't 100% convinced it was done. I'm more convinced it's done, but you never know. This one is the one I just finished here, so whatever, right? I really don't know. How do you decide something's done? I don't know. Here I am struggling to decide if mine is done. And I guess I'm technically a professional artist, so don't knock yourself if you got to go back in and rethink things. Um, Pretty happy with where it went. This is some of the least color. Look, this is all the color I put in my water. I think I generally put more color in my water when I'm watercolor painting, but because this one was just so much tiny detail, there wasn't a lot of color really thrown into this watercolor. And plus, I was mostly using brushes that looked something like this, like for scale. Can you even see that? How tiny it is? But I'm gonna clean them off and do a deeper clean in the bathroom. Um, well, I love these brushes. I'm gonna have to incorporate them into my travel kit. Clearly, uh, yep, quite delightful. Quite delightful. It's nice to make new friends. These brushes, they count. They are new friends. There we are, and we put their little cases back on their tips because otherwise they'll bend. Um, I should like buy these little tip cover thingies in bulk because I lose them. There we go. That one needs to be very protected because that one's very tiny. Okay, it's in there though. Yeah. So I fold it all up, put it away. I'm gonna let my watercolor palette dry for a bit because they are still wet. If you can see all that moisture still in there, um, just let it dry. Then I can close it up, and then they won't stick to one another. That's all I got for y'all today. That's it, folks. Um, you know, I don't know. That's my painting. Things are going to get crazier for me here soon because I've got some people heading out, but I'll still be around. Don't you worry. Um, it won't be too bad because we've got the break week happening and that kind of stuff. So here in New Hampshire, we get a February break in addition to winter and spring break. I really think it's just a way to increase the skiing industry and send kids out into it. But it is a New England thing. Like Massachusetts is this week, New Hampshire is next week. So I think they coordinate those things. So we're not all going skiing at the same time. But that's my stream for today, folks. Uh, you subscribe if you enjoyed it, even if you didn't. No, I don't. If you didn't enjoy it, don't subscribe. I don't know what I'm talking about. I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I had fun. Um, I guess this is where I sign off, right? Well, where's my? I gotta find my mouse to do that. Um, yeah, so that's the stream for today. Be safe, do things, paint something, do something, make something. Just like go out in the world, or don't, or stay home and make something. Just make something, preferably from your own experience. Uh, yeah. So coolness, peace, love, and science. Right? Bye, y'all.